The base is dropped on a beautiful Thursday morning in Atlanta, GA, August 22nd. Soccer Down here is live. You want to join the conversation on a hashtag Thursday Thoughts edition of the show? Tweet at us at Soccer Down here and let us know what's on your mind this morning, whether it's about last night's matches around the league, around USL Championship, rumors that are flaring up about the NWSL. Whatever is in your mind this morning, go ahead and tweet at us at Soccer Down here, and we'll get into it. But let's start with last night's action because you had 3 matches in MLS. All of them have some interesting talking points coming out of them, and all of them, I think, do have a little bit of an effect on Atlanta United and where Atlanta United stands in the league. Let's start with the team that is right there with Atlanta in terms of points per game in the Eastern Conference. New York City FC. Good first half from them against Columbus. 1-0 lead. They end up only seeing it out to be 1-0. Second half, not so much. And it's something that Dome Tarrant has talked about a lot over the last month. When Columbus started to press higher, NYC got away from what they do. They didn't try to build up out of the back. They started playing long. They're not built to be a team that can win long passes. Hebert, Matriza, Maxi Morales, none of these guys are really blessed with height. So playing long is kind of pointless. And whenever they get pressed, they do that. And Tarrant talked about it afterwards again. It's like, play short, do what we do, stay true to who you are. Don't lose that when a team starts to press higher. We saw it against Atlanta. We saw it against RSL. We saw it last night. They were able to see the game out, but it's still not the way they're supposed to be playing.
And you end up with that result. I mean, that second half, you're sitting there and watching the first 45 minutes, you're sitting there saying, okay, NYCFC, they're getting everything together and everything is flowing the way that you want. You get the 1 goal on the board. Columbus did have, I want to say, a chance late in the first half, if memory serves, as they were trying to, I think it was 5 extra minutes in the first half. And so Columbus did have a chance, didn't quite close on it. But then that second half, I know that that's where the red flags are right now. And you thought that Columbus might be able to turn the engine over in the second half to get an equalizer, but it turned out that they couldn't, and NYCFC gets out of there with full points.
Yeah, Columbus had 6 shots on target. They had 14 shots in total. Those are numbers that Dome Tarrant is not going to be happy about. Columbus had opportunities, and Columbus is not in the same league as NYCFC in terms of quality. They're just not. But they made this difficult for the Pigeons. So keep an eye on NYC and how they handle pressure going forward. The other big thing coming out of this was, we asked about it yesterday, what would Tarrant do without James Sands? Would he stay in the 3-4-3? Would he go back to the 4-3-3? He went back to the 4-3-3, but the way he kind of found the bridge was Alexander Ring would drop in between the center backs in possession. So that gave them the 3-4-3 look when they were trying to build up play, which is great. That can work. That gives you the best of both worlds. However, if you're just going to play long, then it defeats the whole purpose. And that gets back to your whole game plan and identity of who you are. And when you get away from who you are and you have a strategy and a tactic coming into the match to accentuate who you are, and then you blow it, well, it's all kind of a waste. I mean, they don't really have the pieces to do what they were trying to do. Like, Castellanos will go up and fight for balls up top, and it's Tati Castellanos who gets the goal in the 36th minute here. But he's not a classic number 9. Mackay Steven, Hebert, they're not looking to win those aerial duels. That's not their game. So NYC has to figure that out, and if they're going to play 4-3-3 without James Sands, it's even more imperative that they build up play out of the back and they don't get sucked into a long ball game because they're getting pressed. Had some fireworks down the road in our nation's capital. Red Bulls win 2-1 on the road in D.C. It is the 9th time in a row that D.C. has failed to get a win over the Red Bulls. Early goal for New York. I mean, there's so many talking points out of this one. It's an early goal for the Red Bulls. They get the lead. Wayne Rooney loses his mind, and it's, borderline sucker punch to Christian Caceres. It's a red. There's no arguing that it's not a red. There's no way to try to justify it. And no, it's not a penalty because the ball wasn't in play. That's something to keep in mind. I saw a lot of people yelling about that. People that I was a little surprised were yelling about that. The referee decided, Ismail Elfath, that the incident happened before the ball was in play. And the camera angles, you can't tell. It looks like it is. It looks like Rooney's fighting for position. Comes across, throws a forearm shiver to Caceres. It's a red. Easy red. See ya. Rooney's lost his head. He looks like he doesn't want to be here anymore. He complained about the trip to Vancouver, complained about the flight situation coming back. He was sick and missed the game after the deal with Darby was announced. I don't know. I don't know what DC's going to do because they came out and started this game in a 4-4-2 with Rooney being tasked to drop in behind Ola Kamara and play kind of in that playmaker facilitator role. Well, you didn't get to see much of that because he's gone in the 24th minute. And then, I mean, it's easy for DC at that point to just play a 4-4-1 and deal with it. And they dealt with it fairly well. Ola Kamara equalizes in the 55th. Amro Tarek saw 2 yellow cards. And this is where not being in the stadium when you're the announcers is a problem. There was a yellow to Tarek in the 38th minute. I was watching on the SAP English feed that John doesn't know where to find it.
No, my remote doesn't have an SAP button, and I can't find it in the settings.
One day I'll just sit down with your technology and try to fix all of it. It's like
Please.
Piece by piece. I try to grab the phone one day. It's like, all right, let's try to clean up the storage a little bit. Gonna have to work on the TVs. But I was listening to that, and they're in the studio in Miami because it's TUDN, which is based out of Miami, and it's Chris Whittingham and Gary Bailey calling the match. I don't think the 38th minute yellow card was picked up by the cameras. I was half watching the game, half looking ahead to Orlando studying, so I wasn't studying it with a trained eye here. But when Tarek was sent off, they thought it was a yellow, and then he said something and got a red. And when you look, if he said something really magic because he didn't say much. I don't think he did. It's a second yellow. Like, that's the thing, that had nothing to do with it. He was already gone on the second yellow. And I thought it was a bad second yellow, to be honest. I thought that Paul Arriola fell into him, and there's not a whole lot more Tarek can do. He did get his arm on Arriola's shoulder, and that's what earned it. I don't think the yellow was necessary. But anyway, Tarek gets sent off. The announcers didn't know why for the longest time. I don't know if they ever really solved that dilemma. So Red Bulls bring in Tim Parker in the second half. They sacrifice a forward. You got the teams matched up playing 10v10. Ola Kamara equalizes with a spectacular goal. That might be the referee crew calling you right now to clarify.
I think it's Amro Tarek actually calling me right now here in the office.
Tarek making sure that we know what was said, and that was enough.
Yes.
He doesn't want any extra fines. 59th minute, though, things get screwy. I don't even know how to describe this one, to be perfectly honest.
Awful.
That's one word.
Hideous.
Okay, that's another.
Inexcusable.
I might push back on that one. There might have been a little bit of contact. Maybe.
Initially, yeah.
Maybe. I'm not even sure there was. Maybe.
It was like a click of the heels, I think, if I remember.
Yeah. And then Michael
But then
Murillo
just
takes
falling
a couple
down and
steps.
making a meal out of it?
Well, it worked. He made a pretty nice meal. He got a penalty. Daniel Arroyo converted. I mean, that's a filet mignon. VAR has to be involved in this one. Penalties called on the field, which, all right, depending on your angle, I get it. But then when you look at it, you see the contact, if there is any, which I'm still not 100% convinced. Then There's 2 steps at least before Murillo throws himself down.
Trip, fall. I'm watching right now.
The contact didn't take him down. He decided to go down 2 steps after the contact.
Mm-hmm.
You can't give a penalty there. You just can't. You can't do it. It's really bad. And it was given, and it was the goal that ends up giving the Red Bulls the win here. I got nothing. Ben Olsen was furious. Ben Olsen was told to shut up after a while from Ismail Elfath. I don't blame Ben Olsen if he'd got tossed for it, because that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yep. At Paul Areola, did you see his response on Twitter?
Yes, Paul Areola was not happy about this at all. And Paul Areola said, "There's no question that at-pro referees have a hard job officiating games, but you have VAR, all caps. So put your egos aside and give yourself a chance to look with your own eyes to correct missed calls." And it's a quote tweet of a clip of the incident. Yeah, VAR is there to get it right. That's the whole point. VAR is not there to slow the game down. VAR is not there to make life more difficult for anybody. VAR is there to get calls right. So this is a call that obviously there are questions about straight away. You can generally tell. I mean, yeah, everybody's going to complain about any penalty given, but there's varying levels of complaint. When it's an obvious one, there's not much complaint. When it's a situation like this and you have players losing their minds in front of you, you might want to say, you know what? Hey, Mr. Video Assistant Referee or Miss Video Assistant Referee, do you have anything I need to look at here? I don't care if that's the protocol. Do it right and use the technology that you have. And if that's not the protocol, then make it the protocol. Because this is a big issue where Red Bulls might have won this game anyway. Don't know. We didn't really get to find out, because this is an embarrassing call. And there's just been too many of these lately. Way too many of these lately.
The more that I see this loop of what Michael Murillo did after getting clicked by Lucas Rodriguez, the more infuriated I get, because this was so bad. I mean, bad, egregious, you've got to be kidding me, and you don't review it. I mean, come on. And that's about as clean as I can get here. Just come on. This was it was hideous. And it speaks to an issue that can be easily rectified. It's like, look,
hold up. No, it's not an issue that can get easily rectified, because then you still have to make the right call. You still have to look at it and say, all right, I'm going to overrule this. I'm going to look at this and say, you know what, I was wrong. Not every ref's going to do that.
No, true.
VAR
goes to
doesn't
that point that we had before.
Fix everything. It gives you a way to get the right call made more often than not.
It encourages it, yeah.
It should. And I don't care about the protocols in situations like this. Get it right. When you're getting to this point in the season, get it right. What have we seen in the Men's World Cup in 2018 and the Women's World Cup this past summer as the tournament went on? VAR got less involved. They weren't getting involved in every little thing, but generally they got calls right. As the tournament got to the later stages, you weren't complaining and yelling and screaming about VAR. The season needs to be kind of like that. This is a major incident that VAR needs to get involved in. We see too many other times where VAR gets involved in more trifling things that doesn't need to be done there. It needs to be more consistent. And this goes back to, I know everybody gets riled up about VAR and the 3 letters and yells about it and screams about it. I want to make my biggest issue with it clear in MLS. I In other leagues, it is what it is, and they do it much better. And the reason they do it better is they don't have referees who are normally working in the league going from being a center referee to a fourth official to a VAR on a seemingly nightly basis. They don't put a VAR in the booth with a senior referee who had the U20 World Cup final. They don't put a VAR in the booth there that can't be bold and say, yes, Ismail Elfath, you're doing major games for FIFA, but you got this wrong.
Yeah.
Because then the ego stuff comes into play. And that can't be the issue here. And the flip side. The flip side is you can't put a super experienced referee who does the same job as these other guys on a regular basis with a younger referee who is gaining experience, because the younger referee is going to just listen to every single thing that the senior referee in the booth says. That's why they have to be separate. The way you separate it, you have a centralized location. You have referees that only are video assistant referees. And what you start to do now, right now, you look towards next year as to where's our centralized location going to be. And if you can't do that, then this is the first step you have to make. Who are our video assistant referees going to be? And that's all they're going to do in 2020. That is all they're going to do is be video assistant referees. They're not going to go run a line in USL Championship. They're not going to go ref a game in USL League One. They're not going to go ref a game in MLS and then the next night work as a VAR. They're not going to do any of that. They're going to be video assistant referees and separate from the process. And they're going to be trained, and they're going to be focused on making the most of this technology. You can do that right now, even before you get to a centralized location. And your referees that start to retire, do you want to be a video assistant referee? Do you want to be our first specialized video assistant referee? Cool. Done. Because you don't have to go run up and down the field all day now. You're going to sit here, and you're going to bring your expertise to the fore. And no, we're not going to put you in a situation where you're going to be dealing with referees that you're on the field with on a regular basis or are ranked higher or lower or whatever. No, you're in a different class. You're over here. You're in a whole different world over on this side as a video assistant referee. You do your job. Nobody in the world uses video assistant referees in the way that it's being used here. And I cannot figure out why they're not looking at what's working in other competitions or leagues and model it after that. I don't get it. I don't see how it's a money thing. I don't see how it's a technology thing. I don't know. I mean, from what I know, and correct me if I'm wrong here, the feeds for all of these videos in Major League Soccer are going to Vista Productions in Fort Lauderdale because they handle the world feed.
Right.
So everything's going there. So it sounds like the easiest solution is, hey, we're going to build a new control room, and it's going to be for Major League Soccer video assistant referee. And, hey, maybe you can actually include USL Championship and stuff down the road because it's all going in there too. And USL League One, and you can have VAR across the board. In NWSL as well. But you build a control room, and that's where you base it out of because the feeds are already going there. So, done. But first, you have to have separate video assistant referees. They can't be part of the referee pool. It's just got to be better. Because a call like this, I mean, okay, now DC has dropped in the playoff race. Red Bulls have advanced. They are in a home playoff game right now, if it stays. And they picked up 3 points that they maybe shouldn't have. We don't know. We don't know how that game would have played out. And I just don't have any explanation as to why that wasn't looked at and how that was allowed to stand.
See, normally at this point, I would sit there and just say, cosign, amen, right there with you. But it's disappointing that we have to continue to bring this point up about a centralized VAR. and make sure that these officials are the recently retired who still want to be active in the game, that you don't have to have them run up and down the lines anymore. This should be the siren call for A, centralized VAR, and B, making sure that, and this is probably going to be somewhat Pollyanna-ish, but making sure that egos are put aside in these situations to get the call right. Put your pride aside, get the call right.
One thing about the crew on this game is it was a very experienced crew, so there's really no excuse. I mean, it's Elfath in the middle. Frank Anderson, Corey Rockwell are your assistant referees, two of the tops, World Cups under their belts. And Chico Grajeda was the VAR, so you had an experienced VAR. I don't know how this fell apart. I don't know how this broke down. I guess the explanation will be that, well, there was contact. There was contact, so that's enough.
Two full strides before he fell.
Well, see, and then that's the problem is there was contact both times that Pitti was, tripped in the box, and it wasn't called. And, it was a mistake. That's great, but you don't get the penalty for it, and didn't end up affecting you in a result, but maybe it will down the road at some point.
Yeah.
Consistency. If that little bit of contact is enough for a penalty, well, we're going to have a lot of penalties in a lot of games going forward.
Yeah, and I would just wonder going forward. And I want this to be right because I don't want us to continue to have segments like this on the show where we're going over the same thing over and over and over again about what we want to be right about. We want the game to be right. We want it to be played well. We want it to be a showcase of all of these athletes and all these places and all these great environments. But when you have moments like this, people just sit there from the outside and they're like, see? Get it right.
Yeah, it's something that's just got to get better. It has to. There's no excuse. Speaking of lots of penalties, Carlos Vela added another one, and LAFC added a bunch, and Vela had the goal of the season in a 4-0 throttling of the Earthquakes. Vela now with 26 goals on the season, 7 from the spot. San Jose is out of gas. I will agree with Mike Conti. They need a break, and they need to try to find some way to get some points while they're out of gas, because the style that they have, it is so taxing. It does wear on you. 3 losses here. You get 2 games at home before the break, and they're 2 winnable games, Vancouver and Orlando. Then you have not quite 2 weeks off. For most of that 2 weeks, rest, cryo chamber, whatever it takes to get the body back in form, because then you're going to have a sprint to the finish. And this style, it just wears on you. And 2-1 to Colorado loss, 2-1 to Sporting Kansas City loss, 4-0 to LAFC, a draw with Columbus before that. And the Quakes are not in a good spot at the moment in a crowded Western Conference.
And it's the Vela goal was just absolutely ridiculous, and it was absolutely beautiful to watch. But you could tell that San Jose was having to run uphill in that one, and they were chasing shadows at points. And I want to bring up briefly the sending off of Matias Almeida as a part of the adding of the rivalry. And Matias Almeida was not having anyone touch him on the shoulders. And that got heated, and there've been videos that have been released about him being sent off, but I mean, that was definitely something to file away in the future about the escalation of the rivalry between these two teams. But yeah, I mean, it spiraled. It got out of hand in that first half, and it was 3, and then you get the one that was 4, and then it was just it was all she wrote, and you could tell very early on.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Almeida, I don't know if it affects rivalry. Almeida was furious about the way his team's playing, the way things are going, and how many times do you see a coach or a manager get themselves thrown out of a game to try to give their team a spark? I think there could have been a little bit of gamesmanship in that as well. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back after this. We're going to look ahead at the upcoming matches starting tonight around the league, and we'll get you set for all of that right after this.
Looking for future leaders we can trust and believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Georgia. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It begins by making their grades and being on time for practice. It includes learning to listen, following directions, accepting responsibility, being a good role model. And it's about respect for officials, opponents, the rules, and each other. The result? It transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. High school sports. There's so much more than just a game. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Thursday Thoughts edition of Soccer Down here. August 22nd. VAR, 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 VAR. We have thoughts about VAR.
Yes,
Let's talk about VAR some more, because we're not done talking about VAR just yet.
No. And there are a lot of folks going all the way back into last night, and I'll get back to those that were more instantaneous with the event. But Jorge B., DC versus Red Bulls last night, that penalty against DC was infamous. The correct call was a yellow for the Red Bulls player for simulation. The ref didn't bother to check, but he did review Rooney's red. It is ridiculous that the refs have VAR and that they are not using it. #rant.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Yellow to Murillo for the dive. I'm on board with that completely. The Rooney one, yeah, I don't think the referee could have seen that in the run of play. It's perfect use of VAR. That's good. It's correct. In this one, the referee calls it on the field, and it was checked. I mean, they did hold up play to check it. It was a rather quick check, I thought, before Elfath continued on with the penalty. So I don't know. I mean, the tool was there for him to use, and this is where you don't know what the breakdown was. Did they not get the angles in right? I don't know how many angles they needed to that one, to be honest. Did Chico Grajeda not see it either, or did he see that, hey, there was contact and, not a clear and obvious error, although, man, it really looked like it. Yeah. I don't know what the justification was. I don't get it. The Rooney one, looking at it, I think you have to in that case, because I don't think the referee could have spotted it. That was on, from where the referee would have been, that's on the far side of a crowd, and he wouldn't have seen the little forearm, because it's a little sneaky from Rooney. So there's no way he could have spotted it. That's why you have VAR. You also have VAR to correct mistakes like that penalty given, and I don't know why they didn't take a look.
Michael Head, flashback to August 2017, I predicted VAR would be a disappointing disaster in MLS. Wunfortunately, I was right. MLS
Whoa. This is where, okay, you still can't fly off the handle. A disappointing disaster, Michael. That's a little much. Has VAR gotten calls right that were not handled correctly before? Yeah, it did in this game. Rooney would not have been red carded. He should have been red carded. Disappointing disaster is way harsh. It should be better. That's the frustrating part. And that's where we talk about this stuff all the time. Like, nothing is 0 or 100. Nothing is completely black or white. In this game, VAR got something right. Rooney should have been sent off. He would not have been previously. He threw a forearm to a guy's jaw.
Mm-hmm.
You got to send the guy off. So they got that right. Then they blew this other one. That's a problem. VAR should... I don't think it's ever going to get to 100% because you're dealing with human beings looking at things and mistakes will be made. But VAR should get you far closer to that than it is now. So disappointing disaster, I think, is way overboard. But it's not what it should be, and it needs to be better.
Michael says MLS either go to a centralized VAR center or stop this madness. Hashtag MLS and Pro be better.
Look, you're never going to stop VAR. Stop thinking about it. Stop trying to start that campaign. VAR's not going away. It's not. The genie's out of the bottle. Pandora's box is opened. VAR's here to stay. It needs to be better. Centralized location, I think, makes it better. Specialized video assistant referees that only do video assistant refereeing, I think that makes it better. Those things have to happen. It's not going away. It's not going away in the Premier League. It's not going away in the Champions League. It's not going away anywhere it's been introduced. Not going to happen. I would be absolutely blown away if they tried to pull it back. They've got to make it better and learn from it. Look, that's the thing about VAR to me is that the laws of the game have evolved over a long period of time, but you never had the referendums on laws of the game happening on a regular basis as they do now with video assistant referees. The handball change in the laws of the game getting a ton of discussion because now it can be highlighted and it can be looked at and it can be spotted and it can be checked at all times. The whole thing about goalkeepers coming off their line, that was in the laws of the game forever. The referees just didn't call it because they didn't want to. Well, now with video assistant referees, you can't not want to call something because it's there in black and white. So now you have the twofold situation where the laws of the game are being questioned and they need to be updated on a more regular basis for the modern game. That has to happen. And video assistant referees and the protocols and the processes have to be better to get the most out of a tool that should be useful. I agree with Areola. Being a center referee is difficult. I think it is the hardest job as a referee or umpire in any sport. It's incredibly difficult. This is a tool that should make it easier. Referees have to accept it. They have to use it properly. And the video assistant referees have to do their jobs as well. Or it's a tool that is a waste.
Also on the board this morning, ATL-UTD fan number 1 says he'll be sick to his stomach if Ismail Elfath is announced as a ref for the U.S. Open Cup final after what I witnessed last night and at LAFC earlier this month. The pro refs have been embarrassing lately in general, but he has taken the cake.
And he had the U17 World Cup final. Or U20, sorry. U20 World Cup final. So that's where it's hard. Referees go through it like players do. They have good runs of form and bad runs of form. My thing with Elfath over the last year, because I've liked him in the past, I feel like he's gotten more combative in the last year or so, where things feel like they get escalated a little bit when people have conversations with him, and it's not necessary. I don't know why that is. That's something that it feels like that's a very MLS-focused or U.S. soccer-focused way of having referees deal with things. I think in Latin leagues you see players complain to referees. They stand there, they don't really worry about it, and then they move on. It kind of diffuses situations often. Not every referee is the same, obviously, but Elfath, for whatever reason, it feels like it escalates things when players get frustrated. They get more frustrated as the game goes on, not less, because of the way he handles it. So That's got to change. I don't know why that is. But, the fact that LFAF had the U20 World Cup final, that doesn't happen by accident. You don't get that when you're a terrible referee. That's what's frustrating about this, is now he's come back into the league and had a couple of performances that are like, The LAFC one, it's difficult because all three of the goals that LAFC scored, their first three, were all questionable. The offside decisions have nothing to do with LFAF. And I don't honestly think they had anything to do with VAR, because the angles that we saw didn't help you at all. You didn't get anything out of it. So that needs to be a question as to, well, what's happening? Why are we getting better angles on these offside decisions? So that's one. The penalty, they had the discussion, and Howard Webb spoke about it, and they thought they got it right. I didn't, but that's going to happen from time to time. I don't think you take the whole game and blame it on LFAF, because the offside ones, there's nothing he can do. This one, again, he got the Rooney one right, which needed to be right because it's a cheap shot, and then blew the biggest one. That's the stuff that can't happen. I have not seen who will be in the middle for the Open Cup final. I have heard some things, and what I have heard is that it's not LFAF. So that's all I know at this point.
And let's see, since we got a lot of folks who have decided that they wanted to discuss VAR,
let's go a couple more.
Okay, Percy Herrera wants to know, and after he read the tweet from @PaulAreola, Percy wants to know how long the contract is with Pro and why not use FIFA refs.
You are using FIFA refs. I don't know what I mean. Ismail Elfath is a FIFA ref. FIFA doesn't book and assign referees. So you're using FIFA referees because FIFA referees are the highest certified. They're able to work these events. Elfath did the U20 World Cup final, so he's a FIFA referee. Geiger was a FIFA referee. Jair Marufo was a FIFA referee. Guys who work FIFA events. Armando Villarreal is working the U17 World Cup as a VAR. He's at least a FIFA referee as a VAR. It's not one or the other. That's something I want to make clear. Like, Pro isn't some other special organization with special certifications. Pro is there to manage the assignments for professional leagues. Let me pull it up to make clear what Pro's role is here, because in the past, U.S. Soccer assigned games under their jurisdiction. That was what they did. Now you created the Professional Referees Organization to do that. Who we are, the Professional Referee Organization, is an independent company responsible for administering professional referee programs in North America. What we do, we are dedicated to the identification, training, assessment, assignment, and employment of male and female professional soccer officials. We provide our services to North American professional soccer leagues, CONCACAF, and FIFA competitions. Just means that referees who are part of Pro can work CONCACAF and FIFA. Has Pro worked? I don't think Pro's the issue. I think the overall referee pool is more of the issue, and the way that VAR has been administered is my biggest issue with that. I don't know if it's better if you didn't have Pro, then it would be coming out of the soccer house in Chicago as to booking these games, because MLS isn't responsible for it. It's not USL responsible for booking theirs. So that's something that just needs to be clear. You know, you have guys, the picture on the Pro page, I think, gives you a prime example. So it's an Orlando NYC game. You have 3 referees walking out in the shot. 2 have Pro badges. 1 has a FIFA badge because he is a FIFA certified referee. It's not one or the other, Percy. So it's FIFA referees are the highest certified they can work FIFA matches. You have CONCACAF referees who are more highly certified or ranked, or however you want to put it, than just a league referee. And then there's also within, the league referees, there's a little bit of separation between guys who are getting full-time assignments, guys who are breaking in and only getting a handful of assignments at the professional level and working as a fourth in others. And you have guys who are getting USL League One and maybe a couple USL Championship, but no MLS yet, and working their way up the ladder. So it's not getting rid of pro like that. I don't think that solves anything. It's making the whole thing better. That's the process. You got to have more referees. You got to have a better VAR situation, and you've got to just use the tools that you have. VAR is a fairly new tool. Referees are going to have to use it more in the right way. Use it more in the right way. Let me make that clear. Don't go to every review. That's not what I want. But use it more in situations like that one where I think if Elfath goes over to look at that, he's going to feel like it's a dive, and he's going to bring it back.
Chris Ashley, he says he is here for our centralized VAR office suggestion, especially with that USL League One edition. The state of pro referees this year in League One has been, and Gwen agrees, that they've been bad, apparently. And coaches are getting suspended, according to Chris, for talking about it. Welcome
to soccer. I mean, that's the other thing, guys, is that what's been the conversation in England all week?
VAR.
Not even just that. Referees. What's the conversation on a daily basis in most leagues around the world?
Yeah.
Referees.
Officiating, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing new. I get a little bit blown away when people are like, I won't watch soccer in the United States because the refereeing's so bad. But then the next tweet is, the referee was so bad in the Tottenham game.
Uh-huh.
It goes, Gwen gets riled up about referees. It's all good.
No doubt.
It goes back to the point. It's a hard job. It's a very difficult job. VAR is supposed to give them a tool that makes it easier, but it's only effective if it's used properly, and that's what it comes down to. The bigger picture, and something that Chris Ashley hints at is, you think the referees and the pool is not deep enough in Major League Soccer. Well, you go a level below, and it's more shallow, and you go a level below that, and it's even more shallow. It goes back to something that I've said for, I think, not every show, but since we started this, U.S. Soccer has to make a strategic plan to develop more referees. And that starts with getting more referees signed up initially, and then having a plan and a framework to keep them working and not have them quit because parents are jerks yelling at them. Not have them quit because the money's not there. Not have them quit because they're not getting any mentors. Not have them quit because coaches are yelling at them. Not have them quit because that deepens the pool. All right, then you have more referees working. All right, then the next step is pro. If pro is in charge on the professional side, identifying these referees who are working state cups, working regional youth competitions, young referees, and bringing them through a training process for the professional game. You have NPSL, you have USL League 2, where they can get action straight away. It's not professional games. They can get that work. Then you can start to ease them into USL League 1, USL Championship, and work them up the ladder as they show they can handle it. But I don't know how deep the process is right now, because the game has exploded with teams and quality of play and speed of play. The referee development and referee pool has not kept up at the same pace. That's the number one issue. And you're going to have more incidents if it's not taken seriously.
I'm trying to see if there's... Michael Head with another question.
Okay.
He wants to know what the review process is for pro refs, i.e. is there a disciplinary process? Does anything happen to refs who continually blow calls? # somebody help.
I mean, they're not getting fined. They're not getting, like smacked on the hand or anything like that. They aren't getting booked. And that's what you want to look for is, all right, if a referee has a horrendous call, are they working the next week? Are they working in the same role in the next week? Are they being bumped down to a fourth? Because that's what it comes down to, is they're not getting paid as much. You're not working, you're not getting paid. You're getting booked as a fourth instead of a center referee, you're not making as much money. You're getting booked as a VAR instead of a center referee, you're not making as much money. So that's what you look for. It handles it. The punishment is assignments, and you're not going to get them. And then you're not going to get playoff games and such.
But as someone like an Ismail Elfath, who has the experience and the pedigree that he has, is he going to be given lesser assignments and or less assignments?
Yeah. I mean, he's got more leeway. He's not a guy working his second game. A guy working his second game, you might not have seen them anyway, but you definitely won't see them after a game like that. Elfath, you've got more goodwill built up. So are you going to take him off the schedule next week? Probably not. But if it starts to add up, then yeah. Because if I'm not mistaken, after Alan Kelly's bad run of matches, that was surprising because he had been one of the best referees in the league. I think he started to see some different assignments after a little while. It might not be immediate either, because sometimes like the assignments for next week's games might already be done and travel booked and those sorts of things. So you have to keep that in mind too.
And it appears that's our pro discussion for now, although you did have some conversations about it last night. So pro and VAR is definitely on a lot of folks' minds this morning.
Jose Mourinho said about VAR, only thieves are concerned with security cameras. Not bad.
No. Shiva has a couple of thoughts for the morning. One, how does LAFC have the same energy and intensity week after week? They're a great team this season, but how are they building their future and signing young, exciting players?
I mean, they're signing young, exciting players by spending money, like Diego Rossi and Brian Fernandez and guys like that. It's just identification and signing. They spend a lot of money to get Carlos Vela, who has delivered. How they're keeping their energy up, I think they're very smart in the way they manage it. They are a team that can press, but doesn't press like San Jose or the Red Bulls, where they run themselves into the ground. They can play different ways. They're able to manage their energy levels. They do a much better job of that than pressing, in air quotes, teams. So that helps. And you have a guy like Carlos Vela who's having the best season in MLS history, flat out. He's doing it. So that also helps. You're getting enough defensively. You're not great defensively, but you're getting enough. Your goalkeeper stands up with big saves when he needs to. And you have a very coherent style of play. There's no questions about what Bob Bradley wants. So that's how it works. The questions about LAFC are the same as they have been for me. What happens if Vela or Blessing or Kay get injured? Can they ride that out? And don't know, because it hasn't happened. Last year, I thought the Kay injury hurt them in a big way. Edward Atuesta was not in a position to step in and do that last year. He is this year, and he's been incredibly important for them. So maybe they're a little bit better positioned, but I don't know. They haven't had any major injuries this year, so that's helped them a ton too.
Second thought, and she says, what I've seen about Frank DeBoer and staff this year that I really like is keeping calm at the sidelines despite the crazy calls against us. What Almeida did last night was not cool.
I think it was trying to get San Jose riled up, honestly. I think it was trying to get the team to have a response. I think it was manufactured. I don't have a problem with it. I have a problem with it when it happens on a regular basis. You know, when it's every week, you get the manager doing that, then it becomes a bit of a parody, but if it happens occasionally, I'm not too worried about it. You can do it to make a point. You can do it to do that. I mean, Tata did those things too. I don't think it's right or wrong. I think it's just different personalities.
Third thought, after seeing NYC, DC, and Red Bulls play last night, we see how the end of the season is taking a toll on players and how important quality roster depth and rotation is.
It's critical. It's critical. And, I mean, you're going to get some seasons where you have what's happening with LAFC, where you don't have injuries. You don't have major injuries. That'll happen from time to time, but it's rare. Generally, you see guys get hurt, and you need people who can step up. Atlanta's been able to do that, I think, over the last 2 years, honestly. Other clubs have as well. It's just hard to do in MLS. And that's why I think scouting becomes even more important. Signing the right guys becomes more important. And having a philosophy and identity for the way you play so it's easier to fit guys in. That's what helps the Red Bulls. I mean, that's why Reese Buckmaster can come up from the USL Championship and play. Murillo was back in the lineup last night. Buckmaster slid over to play for Kamar Lawrence, who had a hamstring injury, and he did the job. Was it perfect? No. But he stepped in because he knew exactly how he was intended to play. That makes it easier. That's why the Red Bulls can do what they do. Brian White can slot in for Bradley Wright Phillips. Okay, cool. Now Bradley Wright Phillips is back. Brian White's injured. Okay. Tom Barlow can get some minutes. Okay. That helps you. But overall, the quality of your depth is going to decide a lot, unless you just have that lucky season where you don't have any injuries.
Michael Ruiz posted a question yesterday that I'm going to save for hour number 2 because it takes a little while to get into. It's the EPL as Georgia question, so I'm going to hang on to that one.
Oh, yeah, that's a long
one. Nathan Pugh. Woke up to another Vela brace and a beatdown by LAFC. Is it crazy to think how quickly records and quality of 2017 TFC and 2018 Atlanta United and Red Bulls are being swept aside with what seems like such ease? At least Orlando still haven't made the playoffs. Hashtag Thirsty Thoughts.
It's not crazy about that. What's crazy is that you've had 3 years in a row new standards being set. That's what's a little crazy. It's not just this 1 year. It's not just LAFC. It's the fact that MLS was pretty much MLS in the way that it functioned for, a decade. And then Toronto set the league on fire in 2017. Then Atlanta and the Red Bulls both did it the next year in terms of points in a regular season. And now this year, LAFC is the only one out there surpassing even that. So I wonder if it's going to continue. Are you going to continue to see the separation between the top teams in the league and the rest of the pack? That's not what MLS has intended, and the playoffs do, kind of bridge some of that, and they give teams an out to win the playoffs. Go ask the Red Bulls about winning MLS Cup, even though the Supporter Shields have happened. However, I wonder if we're going to see more of this elite level separation between 1, 2, 3 teams, and it might rotate by a year. I don't think you're going to see the same teams up there every single year, as we're seeing this year with Red Bulls. But are you going to see a few teams pull away from the pack each year? I don't know. It's possible. I think it's a little early to tell, but increased spending, TAM, teams being willing to commit more on their top players, it's having an effect. Now, the Red Bulls are the outlier there because they doubled down on identity rather than spend. But Toronto, a lot of money spent. Atlanta, a lot of money spent. LAFC, a lot of money spent. And that's why they're doing what they're doing.
Thad Dooley, TD the CB, says he doesn't see DC United making the playoffs. 5 of the remaining 6 games are against current teams above the playoff line, and 4 are away games.
It's possible, and the Wayne Rooney situation is going to be the biggest thing here. When you look at the East, DC is in 5th on 39 points. They've played 28 matches. Revs, 35 points, 4 back, 2 matches in hand. Montreal, 5 points back, 1 match in hand. Orlando, 5 points back, 1 match in hand. Toronto, 5 points back, 2 matches in hand. Chicago, 6 points back, same number of matches played. That's a lot of competition for 5, 6, and 7 with 8, 9, and 10 right there. DC has to figure out what they can get out of Wayne Rooney. Is his head just not in it? Has he checked out? Well, then stop playing him because it's going to hurt you. Can they get anything out of Luciano Acosta, or is his head checked out too? If it is, stop playing him. You have to make a hard decision at this point because that schedule is brutal. Your next 3 on the road: Philly, Montreal, Portland. You get Seattle coming home. You get Cincinnati on decision day. You have to go to Red Bull Arena again as well, and it's been 9 straight since you've had a win against the Red Bulls. That's brutal. You're going to have to go and steal 4 games on the road. 2 wins? Because the Seattle home match is not a guaranteed 3 points. Cincinnati should be. But, yeah, you're going to have to go steal some points on the road. And right now, the way they're looking, that ain't happening. 1 win since July 18th for DC in all competitions.
Tafka, unless Vela goes on a cold streak. I think the golden boot is Vela's. I think closing a 5-goal gap is unlikely. Joseph is incredible, but that's basically requiring 12 more goals this regular season, assuming Vela scores 6 more.
I don't think Joseph cares. I think Joseph cares about a trophy at the end of the season for the team. If something happens, cool, it's a bonus. But, yeah, Vela is having a year for the ages, and a year that it's not even just the goals, it's the combination of the goals and the assists. You have a team that was built around him, a team that has maximized what he brings to the table, and a player in great form. So it's all come together. No injuries, no international call-ups by his design, and he is just focused on LAFC, and it has 100% worked for Bob Bradley's benefit and for the Black and Gold's benefit. Doesn't mean Joseph has had a lesser year, a bad year, anything like that. It's just Vela's had an unbelievable year, and I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. The only thing that can happen here, if you're LAFC and you're looking ahead at to how things end up playing out for them, do they slack off? Once they clinch a record or clinch the Supporter Shield, where does the motivation come from? Now, you're going to be motivated for El Tráfico this weekend, obviously. You host Minnesota on September 1st. You go to Orlando, you go to Philly. You host Toronto, you host Houston, you go to Minnesota, and then you host Colorado on Decision Day. Are you going to start to drop in intensity in any of those? That's the question. And maybe it affects Vela. Who knows? But beyond that, LAFC is having that kind of year. They've got to figure out how to maintain that kind of year in the postseason, because that's what it's all about in this league. Let's take a break, come back. We'll go through the weekend preview in our next segment. We'll look ahead at the game starting tonight around the league. We'll talk a little bit of prize picks. We'll talk a little bit of juice boxes as well, and get you set for a busy week around Major League Soccer right after this.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Georgia. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski and Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
You're listening to Soccer Down Here daily on SDH Networks, a division of OSG Sports. Find us at Soccer Down Here on Facebook and Twitter. The time is now the top of the hour. Peep, y'all.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, August 22nd. Thursday Thoughts edition of the show. We've had lots of thoughts about video assistant referees and pro and the professional referees organization as a whole. We know everybody saw the report yesterday from Doug Robertson of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that, yes, another mistake was made concerning a penalty that should have been given for a foul on Pity Martinez, back-to-back league matches. Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened in MLS history where you've had the league or representatives of the officials come out and say, yep, that's two, we messed up again. Don't think that's happened. So, I mean, yay, I guess, but it still happened. Didn't affect the result. Hopefully, you see some makeup calls at some point, but we'll see what happens. Ismail Elfath had a interesting conversation with Chico Grajeda, and somehow they did not see that Michael Murillo took a couple steps and then flopped, but it earned a penalty. So it worked out for Murillo. It worked out for the Red Bulls. Didn't work out for DC United. DC's in a tough spot. We've talked about that. They're in 5th now, and they have a tough schedule coming up. Let's look at the weekend ahead, and DC's part of it, but it starts tonight. Sporting Kansas City hosting the Loons of Minnesota United, who have injury concerns. Osvaldo Alonso is one who will likely be held out of this one. Multiple others as Minnesota looks ahead to the Open Cup final. Kansas City, not out of it, but getting desperate. They are 6 points out of a playoff spot right now behind the Portland Timbers. They've played one more game than the Timbers. But Dallas is right there on the same number of points as the Timbers. San Jose, one more point than the Timbers. Kansas City might still have something to say about it. They're going to have to pick up 3 points in this one. They have won their last 5 matches at home against Minnesota United in all competitions. So that helps them. And Minnesota, the flip side, Minnesota is undefeated in 9 of their last 10 in league play. I think Kansas City at home has more to play for here. I think Minnesota will be looking ahead, and I think Sporting puts a little bit of pressure on the Western Conference.
I would agree with you there. And as we are consulting our friends at Odds Shark, reminder that this is a combination of a bunch of different places putting their numbers together for juice boxes and juice box purposes only. The line opened up at Sporting minus 155. Now it's anywhere from minus 143 to minus 155, depending on where you're talking. Minnesota United started at plus 340. They are now plus 355 to plus 395.
I figure it would have jumped a little bit more as the conversations come out about players being arrested and such. So Kansas City feels like a pretty clear favorite tonight because of that. All right, Friday, Atlanta goes to Orlando. Talk about that. Seattle goes to Portland. Portland is looking for some points after not getting any against Atlanta over the weekend. This is always a fun one. Always combative. Usually a lot of cards. Both teams are dealing with some injuries. Both teams are actually dealing with a lot of injuries. I think Portland's a better team. I think Seattle is a team that could slip further in the Western Conference and could actually miss out on the postseason. If they get 3 points in this one on the road in Portland, that might be enough to keep them in the playoff picture overall. This is a really big game, not just because it's a rivalry match.
Numbers started out with Portland at minus 141. The numbers and the gaps have closed a little bit right now. Portland to win anywhere from minus 111 to minus 115. Seattle initially started at plus 300. They've closed the distance a little bit. It's now plus 255 to plus 275.
That feels about right. Those sound solid. NYC hosting the Red Bulls gets us started on Saturday. NYC have won 5 of their last 6 at home. Yankee Stadium, not really an easy place to play. However, the Red Bulls have gone to Yankee Stadium and put up a big number on NYC in the past. They haven't the last 2 times they've been at Yankee Stadium. A win and a draw for the Pigeons in those last 2 in 2018. I think NYC is better. I still want to see if Dome Toronto's conversations after matches, if that has stuck with this team yet. Because you think Columbus pressed, you think RSL pressed, you think Atlanta pressed. Well, you're about to hit a whole new level of pressing when you deal with the Red Bulls.
This. Yes.
So are they going to be true to themselves and play, or are they going to play long and do something different? Sounds like Dome Toronto doesn't want to do that. What do his players do? That's going to be the biggest question as this match unfolds. What do the Juicebox purveyors think?
Line started at plus 112 for NYCFC. Gap has closed on them only a little bit, and depending on where you go, it's anywhere from minus 101 to plus 105 for the win. Red Bull started at plus 230. That hasn't changed a whole lot. It's plus 230 to plus 245 to win.
That Red Bull number is pretty good because I could see them doing it if their press takes NYC out of their game. So that's an intriguing one. Chicago headed to New England is our next one. The Fire, one win in their last 25 away from home. One win in 25 away from home. New England, one loss in their last 14, period. Home, away, doesn't matter. Chicago, though, as of late, 3 wins in their last 4. All at home, but they're playing with some good form. New England, 1 loss in their last 6. That was at home to LAFC. Chicago's not LAFC. I think New England takes this.
New England, line hasn't budged a whole lot on them. Started at minus 109. It's now minus 108 to 110. Chicago started at plus 295. They've dropped a little bit to plus 240 to plus 255.
Yeah, that feels like a New England win. I don't see Chicago pulling that one off. DC, without Wayne Rooney, heads to Philadelphia. DC has been shut out in their last 3 games away from home. Philadelphia, flip side, they've scored 2+ goals in their last 4 at home. They've lost 1 game of their last 12 at Talon Energy in Chester, PA. Without Rooney and with DC being a bit of a mess at the moment, Philadelphia should take this.
Philadelphia started at minus 141. The line has jumped to minus 220-ish, 220 to 222, depending
That's
on where
the
you
Rooney
go.
effect.
Yep. DC United started at plus 367. They are now at plus 500.
Yep, that's the Rooney red card effect.
Yep.
Toronto hosting Montreal up next. Montreal, new manager, Wilmer Cabrera. Remy Gard shown the door. Wilmer Cabrera walks in the other door, and that was a shock yesterday afternoon.
Yes.
I think it's a little harsh when it comes to Remy Gard. He's had a lot of weird things to deal with. The Piatti injury this year, just a slew of injuries last year. I don't think he's done a bad job. I don't know if he's really progressed the team either. They've had some baffling results from time to time. Wilmer Cabrera, I like. He's going to have resources to work with in Montreal that he did not have in Houston, that's for sure. Can he get over the hump, and can he not shuffle the lineup as much? That was my biggest issue in Houston, is he rotated too much, and it became a bit of a distraction, a bit of a problem. All right. Montreal lost their last 6 away from home. Montreal have conceded at least 2 goals in their last 6 away from home. That's not good. All the numbers look really bad for Montreal on the road in this one. Toronto, on the other hand, is not the most convincing, although they have won their last 2 at BMO Field against the Impact. Montreal last won at BMO in September of 2017 in a wacky 5-3 win. I kind of have a feeling it's going to take one of those if Montreal is going to do it. I don't think they do. Toronto gets a win and continues to put the pressure on the Eastern Conference.
Toronto started minus 126. They're right now around minus 140, depending on where you go. Montreal started at plus 327. The lines dropped a little bit, but only to plus 320.
Rocky Mountain Cup, RSL, Colorado. Connor Casey effect still hanging on. Still doing some things. One loss in the last 4 after a little bit of a rough run of form there. RSL, the Freddie Juarez effect. They've got 3 wins in their last 4. They lost to LAFC, who everybody loses to at this point. Colorado have failed to win their last 6 away from home. They've picked up some draws, but they haven't gotten wins. I do think this one could be a draw. I really do. I wouldn't touch it in terms of picking a win because this series is always kind of weird to me. You had earlier this year, Real Salt Lake won 3-2 at Colorado. Difficult one. Win Colorado, which is bad. Last year, you had the really bonkers 2 red cards for the Rapids, 6-0 win for RSL, a 2-2 draw earlier in the season in July. It feels like these games just get strange, and this one might not be any exception to that. I'm thinking draw.
Draw started at plus 345. It has dropped to plus 310 to plus 325. RSL to win started minus 187, and the line hasn't shifted all that much, 179 to 185. Colorado started at plus 514. They've dropped to plus 400 to plus 450.
Well, that might be the spare juice box pick of the week.
Oh, okay.
The draw would be my pick, though. That's a good number for a draw, too. San Jose and Vancouver sees it out on Saturday night. San Jose, at home, have been good. They have not lost in their last 10. A lot of goals in San Jose's last 6 games. Over 2.5 goals scored in 5 of the last 6. I think San Jose, energy level is an issue. How are they going to look after a game against LAFC? Are they going to be dejected or are they going to be angry? Matias Almeida will be watching from a nice box, I'm assuming, in the stadium, as opposed to being on the touchline. Make sure that there's nothing to throw in said nice box, please. You don't want anything broken in Avaya Stadium. Don't want to see that. I'm sure Matias Almeida will speak to the players before they get to the stadium and rally the troops in a big way. I don't see Vancouver winning back-to-back games, although they have won 2 of their last 3. They've only lost 1 of their last 4, actually, which is a little surprising because Vancouver was really bad there for a while. I don't think they get a win against San Jose. I think it's a Quakes win.
Quakes started out at minus 262. They have gone all the way up to minus 335 or minus 345.
Wow.
Vancouver started plus 669. This is like the Tigers last night going up against the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
Dropped a little bit and increased. So depending on where you go, you can go plus 650 to plus 680 for Vancouver in the win.
Nope. Don't let those big fancy numbers fool you. Nope. Don't see it happening. Now watch it happen, but I'm not putting anything on it. Not even spare juice boxes on that one. Sunday, hell is real. Cincinnati, Columbus, at Nippert Stadium. First time in MLS play for the Crew to visit Cincinnati. Numbers aren't good either way on this one. Columbus, losing at halftime and drawing at full time in their last 3 matches. That's an interesting one. Except for this was before the NYC game. So they had 3 straight draws where they came back to earn a draw. They nearly did against NYC as well, to be honest. SC Cincinnati have given up a lot of goals and a lot of goals at Nippert. They have conceded at least 2 goals in their last 7 at home. And there's been a lot of goals scored. Cincinnati's been getting a few as well at home, but just a lot of goals scored. Neither of these teams are really scoring a lot of goals, though, so I'm a little concerned as to where they're going to come from. It was a 2-2 pretty silly draw a few weeks ago. I'm thinking it'll be another pretty silly draw in this one. I don't think either team comes out of it with full points.
Draw right now started at plus 269, has kind of rotated a little bit to plus 240 to plus 260, so it's dropped, gotten closer to even money by all of it, $9. FC Cincinnati started plus 191. They're pretty much a uniform plus 185.
That's a
Crew
large home number.
Yep. Then Crew started at plus 138. They haven't shifted a whole lot, but they have dropped to plus 129 to plus 135, depending on where you go.
Draws my play on that one. I think it's the best option out of it. Dallas hosting Houston Dynamo. Davy Arnold is in charge of the Dynamo. Haven't seen the Davy Arnold effect really yet, although they did get a draw with Colorado, so maybe the Davy Arnold, Connor Casey effect kind of balanced itself out. Dallas is in a dogfight out west. They are out of the playoffs as we speak. Portland has one more win, both on 37 points. But Dallas is looking more at San Jose and Seattle. San Jose, winnable game. Dallas will know when they go into this what happened with San Jose, with Seattle, with RSL. Those are the teams that are within 3 points of Dallas. Also know Sporting Kansas City picked up points, and they are right now 6 points behind Dallas. Dynamo, 6 points behind Dallas. Dynamo aren't out of it either, even though they did make the managerial change. Houston, bad on the road. They've been bad on the road. This is nothing new. They've lost 10 of their last 11. Houston have given up a lot of goals on the road, conceded at least 2 in 7 of their last 8 away from home. Dallas, and this is a little surprising to me, Dallas have conceded at least 2 goals in their last 4 matches. That's concerning when you start to look at this and you're like, okay, Dallas win, pretty comfortable. Dynamo are bad on the road. Yeah, they get the new coach bounce, but can it really overcome that? Dallas just leaks goals at times. The 3-3 draw in Montreal, Dallas fought back to get that, but they gave up 3 goals first. They gave up 2 on the road in Carson to the Galaxy. They gave up 3 to Minnesota United, but they won 5-3 at home 3 games ago. They lost 2-0 in Orlando, scoreless against Real Salt Lake, and then they beat Kansas City 2-0. So the last 4, they've given up 2, 3, 2, 3. No bueno. Draw is what I'm thinking.
Started at plus 290, hasn't shifted a whole lot. Everybody's looking at it at plus 280 now for the draw. FC Dallas is getting the love. FC Dallas opened at minus 131. Now it's minus 137 to minus 145. Houston started plus 369 for the win. They're down to plus 310 to plus 320.
Draw. I just don't trust Dallas to get the win there. And then it all finishes up Sunday night, late night for those of us on the East Coast, prime time for the West Coast. The Battle of Los Angeles, El Trafico, if you will. LAFC hosting the Galaxy at Bank of California Stadium. What's the history of this one? 4-3 Galaxy win last year where LAFC got Zlatan'd for the first time. 2-2 draw at Bank of California in July. 1-1 draw in Carson in August of last year. This year, the 3-2 Galaxy win in Carson over LAFC. LAFC, 5 straight wins after last night's win. Galaxy all over the map with their current form. 3 losses, 2 wins, a draw. LAFC have scored, I've never seen this number. LAFC have scored at least 4 goals in their last 4 home matches. Poof. And the Galaxy defensively, poof. LAFC have won 10 of their last 11 at home. Galaxy have been losing at both halftime and full-time in their last 4 away from home. Lost all 4 of those, obviously. But all of that makes you think LAFC by 1 million. But they've never
Not so fast, my friend.
They've never done it. I mean, I'm just look at the sheet here. You look both 26 games played. LAFC's won 19. LA Galaxy have won 13. LAFC has scored over twice as many goals as the Galaxy this season. 35-71. Goal differential, Galaxy -3, LAFC +46.
It's very Man City of them.
That's filthy disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
But they've never beaten the LA Galaxy. And they lost to him this year. And Zlatan will probably have things to say, and Zlatan will probably do things because he shows up in big games, and he talks about it, and he has
very
delivered.
Much, yeah. Uh-huh. So which one do you want first?
Just give me the numbers.
All right. I'll build. How about that?
All right.
The draw started at +430. It's gone down to +375 to +380.
Okay.
The Galaxy +598 to start.
Juice boxes.
Down to +425 to +440.
Still juice boxes.
LAFC started -244.
Wow.
Down to -215 to -217. So you're saying Galaxy all day, huh?
Well, in terms of juice boxes, yes.
Yes.
Because,
yes.
I mean, do I think from a soccer perspective that LAFC is going to win this? Yes, they should. But how much is the Galaxy in their head? So I'm finding that kiwi-flavored juice box in the back of the fridge, and I'm putting that on a draw.
The guacamole flavored one?
No, there's no such thing as a guacamole juice box. Guacamole's not juice. That's just ridiculous silliness. I will find that weird, like, mixed juice box thing that it's like the one where they try really way too hard to pair up different juices and they don't go together, but somebody got a wild hair in the factory and did it. The one that
strawberry
you saw
kiwi.
The one that is in like the multi-pack. Strawberry kiwi is not too bad actually, but it's in the multi-pack because they can't sell it by itself because it's so stupid. You see this in beer packs all the time where they put like Sam
really
Adams
odd
did it.
flavor.
And Sam Adams did it. They would do the multi-pack that you could get, and we would always get it because they had cherry wheat in it, and cherry wheat was great. But they also put cranberry lambic in there.
What? What's a lambic?
I don't know. It was bad. Nobody wanted the cranberry lambics. That would be the one, the end of the party, at the end of the tailgate. It's like, oh, man, that's the last thing that's left. All right. You take that juice box, and you put it on the LA Galaxy to win. Just because. Just because.
Because you don't want to drink it, but it's still in the 12-pack.
Just because the LA Galaxy have beaten LAFC twice. And they've drawn the other two times. So I'm putting a spare juice box on each of those options.
All right.
That would be my play.
So to recap, what were you juice boxing this go around?
The ones that jumped out to me, if I remember them all, definitely one on a win for the Galaxy, one on a draw in that one. There were a couple big draw numbers. I think RSL Colorado was a big draw number. I'd go draw there too. There
Plus
weren't
345.
There weren't any like big win numbers that I felt good about outside of the Galaxy one. So
Texas Derby draw.
Yeah, but that wasn't a huge number, was it?
Plus 280.
Yeah, when you get over 300 is where you feel like, okay, you're taking a spare juice box and putting it on. Draw in the Rocky Mountain Cup, draw in El Tráfico, and win for the Galaxy. Those are the three that I'm throwing spare juice boxes around that I don't ever want to drink.
Okay.
So
San
drop
Jose's
them into the kiddie pool at the party to say, all right, I'm going to try to get better juice boxes. I'm going to contribute these crappy ones.
Yes. San Jose's big number to win didn't make you flinch any.
San Jose to win? No.
Yeah.
No, because Vancouver's Vancouver. They're bad.
Minus 335, minus 345.
I mean, I'm not putting juice boxes on it.
No.
That's the thing. And, you look at this and look, there's some that you're not going to touch because it feels like it's obvious. And like that one, I'm not taking 300 something juice boxes to try to win 100. No, I'm just going to leave that one alone. Just stay away from it. The Couch Ultras will be sad, I think. They will probably have a great tifo in the basement, though, and it's definitely worth checking out. But, yeah, I don't think they'll be happy after the trip to San Jose late night on Saturday. Let's take a break. Let's come back, talk about some other nuggets that have dropped, and we'll get into more Thursday thoughts right after this.
Looking for future leaders we can trust and believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Georgia. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It begins by making their grades and being on time for practice. It includes learning to listen, following directions, accepting responsibility, being a good role model. And it's about respect for officials, opponents, the rules, and each other. The result? It transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. High school sports. There's so much more than just a game. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here, August 22nd. We're talking about Matias Almeida being ejected in last night's match. They're talking about it on Teise in Argentina right now, showing the video where a fan was trying to come down and run his mouth, and Almeida wanted to give him a piece of his mind, have a few extra things to say. Joel Soria, who writes for MLSsoccer.com, NBCsoccer.com, and other outlets, has this quote about Almeida. This is from Almeida on his confrontational sequence that led to his ejection. This is a good one. All right. This is from Matias Almeida. First and foremost, blood runs in my veins. I've always characterized myself for having blood and not water in my veins. Injustices make me angry and give me impotence. And when there's no dialogue, more so. I only complain about the penalty and why it wasn't reviewed like the other one, LAFC's. I complained about a yellow card, about a player of theirs that had committed 4 fouls, and why they had given Godoy a yellow on his first or second foul. I just want it to be equal, not better, not worse, equal, but with respect. Then, I don't know why the referee ejected me. I don't know what the fourth official told them. If he heard someone else insult him, but I never offended him. Then after the ejection, I lost my head and I publicly apologized for that reaction I had. Who knows me knows that I've always reacted this way. I would even do it when I played because of injustices. Fired up. I like it.
Yeah. What was the third sentence again?
Let me go back. Injustices make me angry and give me impotence. I'm assuming that's a translation issue. Don't get worked up on it. It's probably a little bit of a translation.
But, I mean, just the whole vibe of that quote. I mean, he's fired up.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like he had valid questions. There you go. So that's Matias Almeida from last night. Another thing that dropped last night that got some attention was an interview that Merritt Paulson gave in Portland and talked about possible growth in the NWSL. Luke Fritz 64 has the Twitter thread where he detailed it. It was a live Q&A for Portland Thorns season ticket holders with Merritt Paulson. Couple things that stand out. Merritt said, "We have had multiple expansion groups come to Portland the last few weeks. We have commitments to join the league in 2020 and 2021. He said, "I'll give you a hint. We have a team in the Southeast and a team on the West Coast that have committed to next year. Then we have another team in the Southeast for 2021, which would be a really big addition." He said, "Growing the league means paying them more. It's embarrassing to have 19,000 fans and have some of the salary cap restrictions this year." A little bit further on the expansion side. One of them is an MLS team, one will be an MLS team, and one is a USL team. That's probably more than I should have said. So, let's go back and connect the dots a little bit. So he said, we have a team in the Southeast and a team on the West Coast that have committed to next year. We have another team in the Southeast for 2021. All right. Louisville has been mentioned for next year. You could call them Southeast. I don't know if I would, but I could see that. I could see how you would call them that. They would also meet that thing about one as a USL team. Okay, a team on the West Coast. And then we're talking about what Merritt said was one of them is an MLS team, one will be an MLS team. Okay, now this is where you start to try to figure this out. Is that LAFC on the West Coast? Could be. Would make sense. They've talked about it a lot. Mia Hamm's involved. That would make a lot of sense.
Yep.
There's not another will be an MLS team on the West Coast unless Sacramento is further along than we know, and they're going to do it, but they haven't really said anything. Then if you're looking at the other ones, Atlanta has been mentioned, but if one is an MLS team and it's West Coast and you start to try to connect the dots, you would think LAFC is that. Then you're talking about one will be an MLS team and be in the Southeast. Nashville has mentioned it, but really haven't gone into detail. Miami mentioned it and hasn't been followed up on very much. So could it be one of them in 2021 with LAFC and Louisville coming in before that? And then where does that leave Atlanta? Is it a little bit further down the road? Interesting. It's good news that you have groups that are committed. That's key. You're going to have these announcements going forward. That's key. That's very important. Couple other things he said about the NWSL as a whole. There have been some good stories after the Women's World Cup. Is this a bounce or a lift? After the last one, it lagged a bit. Sky Blue story this year at Red Bull Arena was fabulous. I want a team that challenges Portland Thorns for attendance. There are good stories, but we need more in. Absolutely true. There have to be more that push the Thorns. He talked a little bit about how the expansion will work and how an expansion draft will work. Get into all that later. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see who this could be. Like, Nashville, I hadn't really heard much about. I think Nashville wouldn't make much sense because of the stadium issues, and they're probably going to be at Nissan longer than they want to be.
Yeah.
Miami, long-term, could have a women's team play in Fort Lauderdale, even when or if the Freedom Park Stadium gets built once they do soil remediation and all that. Because the idea was a USL team in Fort Lauderdale anyway. It's where the training facility was going to be. To have a women's team play there in a 20,000 seat stadium would make a lot of sense. So, and that was something that was mentioned early on. I could absolutely see that. And then when you look at Atlanta, that gives you, I mean, you could still try to come in 2021. Like, you know, it's just because they have commitments now for 2020 and 2021 doesn't mean they wouldn't take more. But you could also look at 22 a little bit further down the road and build it out a little bit further. So, you know, I think Atlanta will have a team. I do think it'll happen because I think if you get L.A., Louisville, Miami in the league, those all should be strong teams, strong ownership groups, good situations with stadiums, push the league up a notch, make it more secure, and then it makes a little more sense for Atlanta to come in and put that investment down because it is an investment.
For me, one, the fact that we're having this discussion about multiple cities and multiple ideas, I think it's fantastic. And the fact that you're adding in a Louisville as a part of the discussion, and the signs in the 3252 where the front row sign, bring NWSL to LAFC. I mean, when you've got that, when Mia Hamm speaks up publicly and is waving her hand in the air like she just doesn't care and is saying, we'd love to have it, you know, hey, over here. But the fact that we're having the notion of multiple cities in different parts of the country being added to this mix, and I think it's fantastic for the game, and I cannot wait to see where it goes. I just hope that it continues to be the lift and not the bounce that Merritt was talking about here. So, look, I want to see where it goes. I want to see who steps up. I want to see what the facilities are. And I want to see the NWSL continue to grow and solidify itself and not just have somebody come in and go, yep, we're here. And then a couple of years later, questions happen all over again. So
it's not going to happen. You can't have that anymore. Look, the teams that had that issue were teams that were there from the beginning. And teams that were there at the beginning when the NWSL was a very different thing. It was very small. It was not a big professional league like it's trying to be now. So no, your standards are higher now. So you're not going to have somebody come in. They're not going to accept somebody who has a check that's a little flimsy. Financials are a little flimsy. Doesn't look like a good situation. LAFC wouldn't be that. Miami wouldn't be that. Louisville wouldn't be that. So you can throw that in the trash over off to the side. That's not going to happen anymore. Stop worrying so much.
I want it to be done right. I want it to be done well. I want everything to go forward.
But you're at a point where it should.
Naturally guarded.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is you can't be that way. Because then, you know what that does, is that means you keep the salary cap down. That means you limit charter flights. That means you don't have designated players and all that. That means you become one of those guys. When it's time to grow, you got to grow. And the NWSL is there right now because of what's happening worldwide, what's happening with the women's game in this country. It's time to do it. And you've got not fly-by-night people who want to support this because they think it's a good thing. You got people who want to make money on this. That's the difference. That's how it's going to survive. You also have, according to Paul Kennedy at Soccer America, Lyon president Jean-Michel Aulas via L'Equipe, Olympic Lyon wants a U.S.-based women's franchise. They're also in, quote, advanced talks with 2 U.S. women's national team players, although, as Aulas says, you have to accept that they're there only part of the time. So you know it's going to be a loan situation is what that sounds like. But these are the things that are going to grow it. Barcelona has talked about a women's club in the U.S., but they want it to be Barca branded. I would assume Lyon would want that. Maybe not. They have a different level of a brand than Barcelona, obviously. So maybe that one plays out a little differently. But you've got people wanting to invest in the NWSL to make money. Not because they think it is a good thing to do, but to make money. That's what changes it.
Looking forward to seeing it, and I would just want the league to grow, and let's get serious and move it forward. That's all I want.
Stop being scared. You have a dog. You don't need to get a dog. If you need to sit on the porch with Trooper and pat Trooper on the head when you get a little scared, it's okay.
He's snoring at the moment.
Okay, well, he'll be there for you when you get scared next time. It's all good.
Yeah.
All right, what else do we have on the Twitters?
We have Twitters, and one of them has to do with the signing of Luis Fernando.
Very nice.
Mr. Fantastic wants to know if the new signing was a surprise.
Not really. I mean, it had been kind of leaked out when he was there on hand in the locker room and on the field in the celebrations for Campeones Cup. When you get there, it kind of feels like, all right, this is either going to happen for next year or it's going to happen very soon for this year, and you're getting him ready to understand what this process is like on a game day. So, not surprised by it. Would have said I would have been surprised at the beginning of the year if you had told me that he'd be the first one to sign from an Atlanta United 2 contract. I liked him in Richmond. He stood out. You know, you see guys in the USL Championship. We see him once a year when they come to Atlanta. He was one that stood out to me when he was signed. I'm like, yeah, I remember him, like him. Good on the ball, good player in the attacking half. He's shown far more than that this year, and he's grown during his time here, which has been great. So he can contribute in a number of ways. I mean, I think he can play out wide as a wingback. I think he can play as a second forward. I think he can play as a central midfielder in one of the more attack-minded roles. In a 4-3-3, he can play a few different spots as well. Good player, hard-nosed player, but skillful. I think he brings a lot to the table, and it sounds like Frank de Boer has liked what he's seen, not just in Atlanta United 2 matches, but when he's mixed in with the first team in training.
Bartimus Prime sending out an APB, basically, a friendly reminder to all Atlanta United SGs and supporters traveling to the swampland tomorrow for the match. Don't feed the wildlife! !
Yes, be careful.
Percy Herrera with another question. He thought that the whole thing with Pro and FIFA, that they were two different entities fighting for a contract like Nike and Adidas.
No, definitely not.
Do you think Open Cup tickets should have been opened to the public earlier, given the amount of unsold tickets available? Only has a screen cap of MBS, and there are plenty of seats left available.
Yeah, welcome U.S. Soccer. That's not an Atlanta United decision. That's a U.S. Soccer decision because it's their event. And I don't know what the process was, but if you check out some things when people are talking about this from other previous final locations, it's not new. No idea why this took forever. I think it will end up being a good crowd. I think it will be a crowd that's bigger than the Chicago Fire match. It'll be the biggest Open Cup match ever. But, yeah, it shouldn't be this difficult. It shouldn't. I don't know what took forever on it. Should have been ready to go day after, because you already knew that Atlanta was hosting. So once the win over Orlando happened, should have been ready to go the next day. At a very minimum, with the season ticket holders who got first crack and anybody else who got, pre-sale whatever, and then sell them to the general public starting the following week, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the holdup was, but it's a U.S. Soccer event, and this is not necessarily new when it comes to ticketing for U.S. Soccer events.
Ike Man thinks that Joseph will care if Vela gets his nameplate for the hashtag golden boot before he does, and then he has the red angry-faced emoji.
Nah, he won't care. If Joseph lifts MLS Cup again, he won't care. He won't care. I mean, he'll want it. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he's going to say, well, I don't want it. But, yeah, obviously he wants it. But the grand prize is MLS Cup. If he gets that, he'll be happy.
Daniel Price with his early prize picks update for the weekend.
Okay.
He says he's throwing up his hands on prize picks this week. So he says, let's just have fun.
Uh-oh.
Right now, Joseph is a 10. He's going over.
Yep. Okay.
Darwin Quintero is a 5. He is going over.
Okay.
Rui Diaz is an 8. He's going under.
Okay, I like that.
Brian Fernandez is a 9. He's going over, and he says, these are my picks, I guess.
I like 3 of those. I think Portland wins, and I think Fernandez is a big part of it. So, yep. Rui Diaz, under. Yep. Joseph, over. I can roll with that. I'm not so sold on Quintero. You'll see some other ones pop up. That's just what's on the board right now. As you get into tomorrow, you'll see the weekend matches pop up. The EPL numbers are up if you are so inclined. Let's see. Big numbers that jump out and grab you. Raheem Sterling, 12.5 against Bournemouth.
Yeah, that's right there, too.
9.5 for Mo Salah against Arsenal.
Under.
3.5 for Christian Pulisic against Norwich.
Depends on how active he is. I will say under.
6 for everybody's favorite, Teemu Pukki.
Over.
Chelsea. 6?
Oh,
Over?
it's Chelsea?
Against Chelsea, yeah.
Yeah, so if he scores and then gets another couple of shots, I'll go over.
Okay. Marcus Rashford, 7.5 against Crystal Palace.
Over.
Okay, and the last one I'll throw at you. Harry Kane, 9.5 against Newcastle.
Oh. Avoid it.
Yeah.
That could go.
That's a safe one.
That could go either way. Because Kane really hasn't been a part of the early part of that offense, but Newcastle is hideous. So, yeah, with that kind of a conflict, I would avoid it.
And your expert, completely strong expert, lots of studying done, all of those things, /S for the sarcasm mode. Snoopy, 11.5 for Luminosity Gaming in esports. It's a big rivalry with Luminosity Gaming versus SK Gaming.
Throw out the record books.
Yeah, Snoopy goes over the 11.5.
And what are the guidelines for prize picks,
I have
sir?
no idea.
No.
Esports.
For our participation in said prize picks.
Those aren't guidelines. Those are things you should have already done by now. If you haven't, then now's the time. You go and you sign up and you create an account and you use the code SDH, and then your initial deposit, 25% of that will be matched by prize picks, up to $1,000. You'll also get a free 2-pick $25 free roll that if you only get half of it right, you'll get 10 back. So it is a way to get the ball rolling for you in the Prize Picks game. MyPrizePicks.com, Prize Picks app on Android and iOS. You can download it there, and you can mix and match your boards. You can go with Snoopy for Luminosity Gaming, combined with Joseph Martinez if you want. That can be your 2-pick play if you wanted to go that route.
Not going to do it. Not. It's. I think Snoopy's in the doghouse this week. I'm going to go under, but I'm going to avoid it.
Oh, the thing about Ike, man, sorry, there was a little more to it that I didn't catch. So the nameplate thing, yes, that's a whole different issue for Joseph and the Golden Ball. I don't know why Major League Soccer has not sent the man his nameplate for his Golden Ball trophy.
For real?
It's August 22nd, y'all. Yeah, he's mad about that. If he doesn't win this season, I don't think he's as worried about it. But yes, he wants his nameplate. I agree.
Yeah. John Nason says, is waking up on a Thursday to yet another LAFC blowout kind of like what Liverpool had to deal with last year in the EPL? At Doug Robertson AJC can testify.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, sure. Except Atlanta's not that close to LAFC. And the biggest difference is just the fact that, look, it's great. The Supporter Shield, it's a great trophy. It's a great accomplishment. However, your champion of this league is determined via the playoff. And you're not getting a trophy for a Supporter Shield, or you're not getting a parade. You're getting a parade for MLS Cup. That's just a fact. So it's great. It's a nice trophy. It's honestly, I think, borderline same level as the Open Cup. Sadly, it should be more, but I think that's kind of where it's at. And we'll see. We'll see how they do in the postseason.
Eichmann, kudos to at FC Dallas for being where they are. They went full-on #play the kids this season. No one thought they'd even be in the hunt at this point.
Yeah, they had to get back to their identity. It was a really good article over at The Athletic about FC Dallas and how they lost Fernando Clavijo, Luis Muzzi, and Oscar Pareja all basically at the same time from the club. So it was a little bit, it could have been a fork in the road. And what I like is that they turned the car around and went back to their DNA and just doubled down on it and said, this is what we're going to do. Now, as many have pointed out, and I completely agree with it, I think Matt Doyle has talked about this a good bit. Dallas and the homegrown side is good. You know, you're getting contributions from lots of homegrown players. That part, you're good. Your international signings have been bad. Bad, horrendously bad. Like, not quite Vadim Demidov bad, but bad. And you haven't gotten anything out of those investments. Well, it's bad, but you haven't gotten anything out of that. So you sold Mauro Diaz, which was the right call at the time. You brought in Pablo Aranguiz, and he didn't work out. And I don't know if you gave him the right opportunity or he just didn't work off the field, if he just never got settled. I don't know. But he's back in Chile now. Your other signings have been just kind of there. Reto Ziegler's been good. Outside of that, it's been a lot of meh or bad. And they've got to get better at that. If they fix that to fill in the gaps with the homegrowns, they'll be fine. And they'll be a Red Bulls-esque type of team that can be consistent because they have a DNA that goes through the club as a whole.
Under the weather, with a bit of a news bulletin from yesterday, apparently the folks at Exploria Stadium have banned a certain T-shirt with an acronym on it and Carlton the Alien for Friday's match.
I mean, the T-shirt, it's an acronym. It's not spelled out. That feels a little silly. You're banning the plastic alien? He's been everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people stop me on a plane coming out of somewhere in the country and
Seriously?
ask me about the alien in the stands. Yes. And you're going to ban the alien? That's a little much.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little much. But, hey, it's not a rivalry. Nobody cares.
No, it's not a rivalry.
No, it's not a rivalry. It's something. I don't know what it is, but it's not a rivalry. We'll have to remember that.
Tafka, going back to the Inter Miami situation. Tafka says that Inter's stadium site location has contaminant issues that go 10 feet underground at least. I've often considered, why aren't there more subterranean parking garages for new sports stadiums? Should Miami just keep digging and build a parking garage?
Yeah, I don't know. I am not an expert when it comes to soil contamination and remediation, so I don't know what the best way to deal with that is. And I guess the biggest concern would be because it's Miami, and I'm assuming it's below sea level, and you have
Frank
flooding
Marrow.
issues.
Yeah,
that you
that's
would
what Frank
do
Marrow
that.
says.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Yeah, Frank Marrow says very, very expensive, subject to flooding, not feasible in a place like Miami.
Yeah, that makes.
So, now that we're caught up on Twitter, news and notes last night from League One. Tormenta FC took the pitch last night in their hashtag Love for Lucas game and tied Chattanooga Red Wolves 1-1. Had a 1-0 lead, scored in the 28th. Charlie Dennis with the goal, but they end up with a 1-1 draw in a very competitive League One as they get toward the playoffs right now.
Well, fill everybody in because we haven't had a chance to talk about it. Lucas Coutinho, serious injury over the weekend for Tormenta. Still in the hospital. Family has come up from Brazil. The league, the United Soccer League, has done an amazing job to help in all of the situation. They flew his family up from Brazil to be with him, and I believe they were in Statesboro last night for the game because Lucas is doing better, but he's still in the hospital. And it was a scary collision. It was a scary situation. A lot of love for Lucas all around the league and all around the soccer community in the United States. It's one of those things that can happen in the game from time to time, though. And
everyone in a Tormenta kit went out with a T-shirt last night with Coutinho's number on the back, and it was a very cool moment. The show of support across the board has been very, very nice to see. And I'm trying to scroll back to get the last update, which was yesterday afternoon. And it's from Darren and Nitra Van Tassel. While Lucas remains in the neuro ICU, there's a great optimism he'll be transferred out shortly. Able to take a brief walk with assistants earlier yesterday morning with his parents now happily by his side. Thank you again for the continued support. And they were hoping to update last night during the Red Bulls with more information. And you saw the show of support with everybody wearing the Coutinho 22 shirts as they went out for the processional last night. So that's what the hashtag Love for Lucas is all about, if you see that on your timelines on Twitter.
Yeah, and we'll keep sharing those updates from our friends down in Statesboro with Tormenta. Hopefully Lucas can get home soon and continue the rehabilitation process. And some other sad news, Junior Agogo, who played in Major League Soccer for the Chicago Fire, Colorado Rapids, San Jose Earthquakes, played for Ghana's national team, died at the age of 40. Also played in the Premier League as well. Well-traveled, very good forward. I remember him in MLS. I remember him with Ghana. Strong player. Don't have any details on that just yet.
And matchups, obviously, tonight across the board. We went over the matchups tonight in MLS. Show's going to be a little different tomorrow because you're going to be traveling.
Yep, it's an early flight to Orlando. So, no show in the morning in a live fashion with me on it. There will be a travel show that John is putting together with lots of contributions from familiar voices, previewing the match, looking ahead at Atlanta and Orlando, talking just a little bit big picture, too, about where things stand going into the tail end of the season. And then Mike and I will try to get you a road movie version of the show, Q&A, sometime
Wawa?
in the afternoon. Maybe from a Wawa. It could happen.
So that's the plan. So I will be putting out the SDH bat signal here in a little bit, and we'll catch up with our regular contributors this afternoon, get some predictions on the board. I know that since you're planning a Crosby and Hope Road show with Mike, I know that you'll be able to get your prediction in later. So
yes.
Predictions will not be made at this show. They'll be made on the tape show that you'll hear tomorrow morning, plus the road show that Bing Crosby and Bob Hope will be doing from Orlando tomorrow.
Am I Bing or am I Bob?
I don't know. Who's the straight man? Who's the funny guy?
We kind of trade off.
Okay. So then it is a melange, and your tag team partner is either Crosby or Hope, depending on which one of you is funny on any given day. So the funniest one of the two of you during any given show is Hope. The straight man is Crosby.
Okay. We'll see who's on point tomorrow. Yeah, I think we do trade off, really. Thanks to Atlanta United and everybody who showed some love on National Radio Day, which was very cool. The club tweeted out some love for Mike and I, and then a lot of people chimed in, far more than I would have ever expected. Yeah, we were a little cold. It was cold and rainy and nasty and ugh. But no, it was very cool for everybody to chime in on that. And so many people say that they listen to us, or they mute TVs and listen to us, and they sync it up, or when they're driving, people are like, how can I listen? Like, stuff like that just blows my mind. So thanks for tweeting that out, Atlanta United, and thanks to everybody who responded and joined that conversation. It was very cool.
News out of Tulsa. They have a new era. The Tulsa Natives and Brothers, the Kraft family, are picking up the ownership of the Tulsa Roughnecks. And we all know what a great soccer community Tulsa is. And so the Crafts have acquired the team, looking to turning them into a USL championship contender. And there was some news out of CONCACAF to close us out.
Yes, CONCACAF Olympic qualifying will be next March in Guadalajara. And that's where the U.S. U23s will try to qualify for the 2020 Olympics. So they've got some time between now and then. I think Miles Robinson will get a senior national team call-up, but next year I think he will play with the U23s and be one of the key players trying to get them through. Now, one thing about that, youth national team stuff and Olympics, don't fall in international windows, don't have the same requirements. So that's going to be a tough decision when you get into qualifying. Who is available for that? U.S. Soccer will have some challenges in getting guys made available for it. I can't wait to see how that goes and how those conversations go on a team-by-team basis, because U20 was difficult for some teams. U23, you've got far more players who are playing key roles. So how do you find that balance? Hopefully they're going to schedule at least part of that to where it overlaps with a international window in March. Hopefully. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But that could be dicey when you talk about players like Miles Robinson, who are day in, day out starters with their team. Are they going to be in a position to allow them to go? Are they going to want to allow them to go? And they're going to have to make some decisions on what's best for the club and for the player in their career. So it'll be tricky. But that's next March. There will be some U23 camps and games, I would think, between now and then, as we're seeing Argentina do that. I think their qualification is in January in South America, so that helps in terms of an Ezequiel Barco being made available for that. That's a good thing. But could be a little tricky for Atlanta and Miles Robinson. I think if they get to the Olympics, then it's a little bit different conversation. You want that to happen. But qualifying, we'll see. That's been an issue before, and I'm imagining it'll be an issue again.
So let's see. Wrapping up the Triumph show today and the Battery show today. So we'll have your previews in Charleston and in Greenville. Those will be up tomorrow. We'll be catching up with folks. I think Jay Bolt is going to be player spotlight this week in Charleston. Dallas J is your player spotlight after the clean sheet against the Mingos when they made the road trip to Legacy early last week.
And yesterday, posted a 1v1 with John Aiken from Oglethorpe University, looking ahead to their season. We'll be calling their games again this year, along with Jessica Sharman, joining in the commentary on those. Play over in Brookhaven, and I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it, like John and the philosophy he has his teams play under. It's good soccer. It's fun to watch. Free admission if you're looking for a game on a Friday or Sunday locally to go check out and see a good team try to play the right way, at least in my opinion. That's one to check out, and I'll be posting those as we go. And if you can't make it, then watch it with us.
And that's the fun part of all of this stuff. But don't forget to download the app if you haven't downloaded the app. iOS and Android available. And then that way, when we have a show like the 1v1 with John Aiken, when we have the Charleston show, the Greenville show, all the content, set up your alerts, download the app, and then that way you can hang out with us when your phone vibrates and tells you that there's a new show up on the network.
As long as John puts it on the right show.
Correct. Yes, that is accurate.
And for those of you who are trying to figure out SAP stuff, check on your cable box first and your cable remote and go into options and look for audio options. I do remember Comcast Xfinity was one that had problems with actually pulling the SAP feed in the past. I thought I had read that they had corrected that. I have Uverse, and it works great, so I haven't had any problems with Uverse and SAP. Comcast I did in the past, but I think it's corrected. But go into your cable menu, not your TV menu, and see if you can find it.
But what if you have a new box and there's no like real buttons or anything?
You have a remote that has buttons on it, John.
That I do.
And that's how you control the box with no buttons on it, right?
I usually just speak into it.
Oh, you speak into it?
Yeah. It's like, okay, show me soccer.
Well, then say, show me SAP or show me audio options or try different things like that.
Show me SAP.
No, we don't have to do this on the show, John.
It says show me ASAP.
Yeah, show me audio options or whatever. Just work on it. You can let everybody know tomorrow how it worked out.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Show me audio options.
On that note, we're out of here. Mucha plats, y'all.
Mucha plats, y'all.